Okay, so maybe we can start. So, hello, welcome everyone. Whether you're joining us here via Zoom or whether you're watching us on YouTube, we appreciate you taking the time to be here today with us. My name is Anna, and I'm pleased to host this Info Day on behalf of the Frontiers Consortium. We have other members of the consortium here with us, whom I will introduce in a moment. Just before we begin, just a quick reminder that this session is being live streamed on YouTube and a recording will be made available later. The session today focuses on the third call of the Frontiers program. This is an initiative funded by the European Research Council that offers science journalists the opportunity to undertake immersive residencies within research institutions. Frontier expresses our recognitions of the importance of science, the value of quality journalism, and the need to strengthen science journalism across Europe. And I'm sure this is a feeling that is shared with everyone here in the room. So let me briefly go over our agenda for today. So we'll start by giving you an overview of the Frontiers project and this current call for proposals. We'll then go into some details of the application process and discuss some of the frequently asked questions we have been receiving. And later we'll open the floor to a Q&A session to address any remaining questions you may have. Let me just start by remind you that you will be able to leave us your questions either by directly talking via Zoom, using the chat in the Zoom, or if you are following us on YouTube, you can start placing your questions in the chat in the YouTube. So I will start by inviting Rita Silva from the Frontiers Consortium to provide us with an overview of the projects and some of the details of this particular call. So Rita, please.
Thank you, Anna, and good afternoon, everyone. So I will start with a brief overview of the project, and then jump into some of the frequently asked questions that we have been receiving. So as you may already know at this point, the Frontiers project has been funded by the ERC to design a residency program for science journalists who wish to spend a period in residency in a research institution. The project itself will run from 2023 to 2027 and is managed by the consortium of Inspire Science, our coordinators in Israel, the Center for Ethics and Science in Science and Journalism in Italy, the Nova University of Lisbon from Portugal, and the Pompeu Fabra University from Spain. So what are the core values of our project? So the main foundation is a belief that a good science journalism approach is valuable for society. So a core value is the promotion of ethical science reporting of our project. At the same time, we believe that the Frontiers team will never, and the host institutions hosting science journalists should never interfere with the journalistic work or the end products that they produce. And the third core value of our project is frontier research. So we will encourage and support residency proposals that focus on frontier research projects in research institutions. So just for a bit more detail on the residencies that we will support, we have a target of around 40 fellowships throughout these 4 years of the project, and each residency should last between 3 to 5 months in a research institution of the journalist's choice. Journalists will also have the opportunity to participate in face-to-face training sessions during their residencies, and we will promote networking opportunities for their futures and to expand their journalistic career. From our side, the Frontiers team has already mounted a structure to support the fellows and the host institutions throughout the course of the residencies. Basically to support either in logistical practical questions or any conflicts that may arise during the residency period. Our program differentiates between three career levels for science journalists. So the early career journalists should have less than 5 years of experience in journalism, and will be awarded a grant of up to 4,000 euros per month. Mid-career journalists, so between 6 to 9 years of experience, will be awarded grants of up to 5,000 euros per month, and established journalists, basically the ones that have 10 or more years of experience, with grants of up to 6,000 euros per month. It is important to note that these grants are attributed directly to the science journalists and should cover the entirety of expenses during the residency. So accommodation, travel, potential taxation, and the daily expenses for the journalists. So who can apply? For science journalists, who are the ones submitting their applications, we encourage applications from journalists residing worldwide. Some exceptions may apply, so we also encourage you to visit our website for an up-to-date information on this. But you can reside either in Europe or outside Europe. Science journalists, we support science journalists producing independent journalistic content and in various formats, so written, media, multimedia. We support different journalistic formats. And then we also will support science journalists who are committed to full-time engagement during the time of their residency. For host institutions wishing to support a science journalist in residence, the main criteria is that they should be located in a UA member state or in a country associated with the Horizon Europe project. As mentioned, frontier research is a fundamental criteria of this project. So we will so host institutions or projects should be performing cutting-edge research across any scientific field. So social sciences, life sciences, physical science are all eligible to apply. And importantly, host institutions should be committed to support and to provide any kind of assistance to the journalist in residency in their institution. How does then the journalist apply? So after the first step is, of course, to select a host institution or a project or more than one. So we also support projects that have more than one host institution. And the journalist can, of course, decide for themselves. We have a database of research projects and institutions that could be a starting point for you to search, but an institution does not have to be in the database to be eligible. So after selecting their host institution, a representative of the institution should sign a commitment letter with the terms supporting the journalist in residence, and then the journalist should complete the application form and submit all the relevant documentation through the website. This includes a commitment letter from the journalists, the commitment letter from the host institution, and a summary of their residency project, among others. So after we have received all the submissions, we will evaluate the proposals in two steps. The first one will rank the residency criteria, the journalists' criteria, and the research criteria from the host performed in the host institution. After all applications have been ranked, we will then, in a second step, ensure a diversity of all selected applicants, both in terms of career levels. It does not apply in this call because we are only accepting applications from early career journalists, but in terms of gender, geographic distribution of the host institution, and the scientific areas covered in the projects. Just for you to have an idea of what we have, what kind of applications we have received so far, we have a total of 80 received, and 17 Frontiers Fellows have been selected and all of them have started, and most of them also finished their residencies. We have awarded fellowships to two early careers so far, 7 mid-career, and 80 established journalists. And they have selected host institutions in 10 different countries that you can see here in this map. Some important dates for this call. As I mentioned, this is exclusive for early career journalists, so with up to 5 years of professional experience in journalism. Up to 8 fellowships will be awarded, and some important dates. Well, you should apply before the 6th of May at the 17 CEST, which is the closing time of the call. In July, we are expected to announce the selected applicants, and in autumn, the residents are expected to have begin. The exact dates of the beginning of the residency should be coordinated between the journalist and the host institutions for logistical purposes, of course, but we have this tentative date for the beginning of the residencies. And then also somewhere late 2025, there will be a training session in person that I mentioned before. Another call is expected to open either later this year or early 2026. We still have will fix this date, and will be announced also in the coming weeks or months. And then in early 2026, the fourth round of selected applicants are expected to begin. So basically just a quick overview, and then I will jump to the frequently asked questions with a bit more specificity than I introduced here. So this is a common question for this round of fellowships. Who can apply? So we aim that the fellowships are aimed at science journalists with up to 5 years of experience in journalism. Of course, you can then ask your questions with more detail to our team, but this is the criteria that we are applying to this round of fellowships. Then who is the recipient of the grants? As I mentioned also, the grants are attributed directly to the selected journalists. The host institutions are in no way expected to fund or to channel the money to the journalists. Again, when do residencies begin? We are expected no later than autumn 2025. And then another important criteria, again, for the frontier research context of this project. We will award grants only to projects that put frontier research at their core. On our website, there is both a list of the criteria that constitute frontier research, and a crash course video where you can find more information of this. But basically, some indicators or attributes are frontier research is basic research, should tap into uncharted waters, should push the boundaries of knowledge, should aspire to lead to the foundation of new discoveries, should be founded on new principles or new conceptions, should involve high risk, high conceptual scientific risk, should be first, best in class, and address complex global challenges. What is the role of researchers in these residency programs? The researchers should work directly and alongside with science journalists without at any point interfering with the journalistic work. They should help navigate the day-to-day of the research institution, and they should support the science journalist in any capacity that they can. One frequent question that we receive, or that we also want to stress, is that Frontiers Fellows are at no point expected to work for the institutional communication department of their research institution. They should be, again, fully independent to explore the scientific field of frontier research that they apply to, and they should at no way be acting as a person doing communication for their host institution. What type of commitment is expected from a Frontiers Fellow, and this will be signed, stated and signed in the commitment letter that you should submit. So you should focus fully on your project and refrain from professional outside work. Frontiers Fellows are also encouraged to interact frequently with researchers, with the professionals of their host institution, and to take part in cultural events or social events that are carried out there. They should actively participate in the training activities organized by our team. They should collaborate in the communication and dissemination of their residencies whenever possible, and provide feedback on their residency to our team. From the host institution, again, they should ensure a fruitful experience for the journalists, give them access to Wi-Fi, access to the cafeteria, canteen, electronic resources, any kind of resources that can support the journalists. They should invite the fellows to participate in activities on science communication and science in the media within their host institution, their own institution, and they should also collaborate with the Frontiers team documenting the residencies. Again, this is just an overview. I'm sure that you may have additional questions, but from our part, that's it.
Thank you so much, Rita, for all these insights into the world of the calls and the frequently asked questions. So we'll now move to the Q&A here at this Zoom session and also on YouTube. Before we begin, let me just introduce you the consortium members who are here and who will be addressing your questions. So we have with us Joran Balziv, Andrea Motola, Fabio Torone, Abi Glasser, Cristina Ferrario. So thank you so much also all the Frontier members for being here. And for the participants, please let me remind you that to ask a question, you can either use the raise hand feature on Zoom and we'll call your name, or you can type the question in the chat and we'll read it out loud. And if you are following us through YouTube, please just leave your question in the comments and we'll address it as well. So feel free to submit your questions. And I saw that we already have some questions in the chat. So I think I'm going to move this one to Fabio, perhaps. Meryl Jamal is asking, I'm an early career journalist, but have been communicating with a host institution about a start date in early 2026. Is it okay to apply to this round and wait for the next, or should I wait for the next one?
But this is a complicated answer because in general, we need the grantees to be all active during the same months, because we will have a meeting for the training, and the third call is in a way an exception because it is only reserved for early career journalists. So you may consider also this aspect. But the answer might depend on the reason why you are discussing with the host institution about the start date in early 2026. Because if there is a kind of logistical constraint, because for your presence, let's imagine in the field work in specific moment of the year, and that is due to the availability of the host institution, that is something that we may consider as a reason for the exception. Otherwise, the recommendation is to apply to the call that is most in line with your if it's your decision to move to early 2026, it is not a justification for moving the terms that are associated with the round 3. So I hope it was clear.
Thanks, Fabio. We have here then a question is about maybe Yoram, you could take this one. Is Switzerland among the Horizon Europe countries?
Yeah, well, thank you for this question. Actually, it's a tricky one because on one hand, Switzerland is in the process of signing the association agreement with the EU, which once it's in place, then it's eligible, of course. And the agreement should be retroactive to January 1st, 2025. Now, the problem is that currently it's not signed yet. So we'll have to revisit this question in real time once they apply and simply continue checking the status of Switzerland and this association agreement.
I think that the rule says that they have to be eligible by the deadline of each call, right?
That's correct, but we don't have the association agreement yet, and we don't know whether it's going to be in
so
force.
If it's
by
not
then.
for round 3, it might be in time for round 4.
We don't know. We'll have to revisit this.
Okay, we have here more practical questions. So in terms of do the projects need to have an immediate output, and would working on a book proposal be appropriate in that, or is that too long term? There is an additional question here, but I'll this is from Elise, but I will let you answer this first one. So maybe Fabio, you can take this one. Do the projects need to have an immediate output, and would working on a book proposal be appropriate?
So in principle, there is no requirement for any kind of specific output. So a project that does not mention any specific output is perfectly acceptable. Then it will be to the evaluation committee to establish whether it's worth funding, but not based on the expected outcomes in any case. So working on a book proposal is perfectly acceptable. Of course, you have to set up a project around a specific research field in frontier research in order to make it fully eligible.
Okay, the question actually has another part, which is if we can provide some specific examples of projects that the fellows have been addressing, and just to add here that we have some examples in our website of what frontiers our fellows are doing, and also on our social media they have been posting some examples of their projects and the kind of residencies that they are undertaking. But maybe one of you has some specific examples you'd like to give of projects.
I think it is complicated to use any previous examples because there are so many variables attached in terms of the kind of research you focus on, because the fact that it is clearly identifiable as frontier science is a requirement, and also other aspects that may the format of the application is so free that it really may depend on a lot of specific details, and then it will be up to the evaluation committee to decide. And in some cases, it's maybe having funded something may be a reason not to fund a new project too similar to something that we had already funded by. So the whole idea, you can take inspiration, as Anna was saying, from what our fellows are reporting on the social media, but there is no recipe, I think, to copy that might increase your chances.
Okay, talking about recipes, Paula here is asking if there are tips for writing the project proposals and what are the basic points that should be covered in the project application.
It is everything is listed in the application form quite clearly. We hope clearly enough. And one aspect which proved in the past to be complex to address is the focus on frontier science. So that's something I suggest everyone to look into attentively, studying the materials that we've published and looking at what we provided as guidance in that. And the other idea is to focus on the also expected impact on your career, on the communication of the matter that you're going to look into. And you need to try to make it clear why your proposal is unique in a way.
Yeah, Rita has also pasted here on the chat some tips for writing a successful proposal that we have in our website. So we have this video prepared that gives some explanations of how you can make a successful proposal. So we have a question here from Nana. I'm saying that I'm also a career journalist, finished my master's degree last autumn, and I have not yet much experience in science journalism, rather in cultural journalism. Could I still be considered?
Absolutely, yes. The criteria mention journalistic work, and the overlap between cultural journalism and it depends on the topic. Essentially, it depends on the research you are willing to focus on, and the approach of Frontiers of our project is to focus on all kind of frontier science, including social sciences and humanities, which sometimes are considered as opposed to science. In our case, we welcome any kind of journalist with any kind of background, provided that they are working on a project that deals with the ongoing research that might be considered frontier science.
We have another question here, also from Elise, who's asking, is it considered desirable or undesirable for an early career journalist to propose a project that pushes beyond the kind of work they've previously done? For instance, would it be appropriate for a journalist who never podcasted before to use the fellowship to launch a podcast? Would that be appropriate or undesirable?
That's a good question. I would think it will be up to the evaluation committee to judge the plausibility, let's say. So producing a podcast in itself is not rocket science. So I would imagine that you can be convincing even if you don't have any previous experience, provided that the technical aspect of the podcast is not the main focus of your project. Rather, it is some research going on in a host institution. So I don't think, I think that it's perfectly acceptable that you spend those 3 to 5 months acquiring new skills while studying an interesting topic that is being studied by scientists in the host institution.
We have then 2 questions here which relate with the what is the early career requirements mean. So one of the comments says, I'm into journalism since 10 years and I've been approaching investigative projects since 2018, therefore focusing on longer and deeper research, sometimes collaborating with researchers. So what does it count? Is it the 10 years of journalism or the 2018 focusing on longer and deeper research? And a related question, I have been working as a journalist for about 15 years, but I wasn't working all the time as a science journalist. So I started in cultural section. So do my 50 years count in general, or does the time only count if I spent it working as a science journalist?
That is again a tricky issue because we used a criterion similar to the one adopted by the European Research Council, with an important difference that in the case of research funded by the European Research Council, the date is written officially because it's the date you discuss your PhD. In the case of journalism, we don't have any similar strong indicator. So the criterion that we are using is that it is the first published story in a professional outlet as a journalist, regardless of the topic. So because it is also hard to get into the discussion. And this is something that you have to declare yourself. The program will perform some checks, but there is no, I mean, the issue is that if the applicant declare something that is not correct, they will maybe have to be responsible for questions in any time, even in the future. So we don't have the way it's up to the applicant, but the point is that establishing the date of 5 years at the date of the deadline of the call refers to professional activity in journalism. So if you worked in other areas, not in journalism before, it doesn't count. But if you published a story more than 5 years ago, you don't qualify for this round.
So what we count is time in journalism and not necessarily just in science journalism, right? So, okay, thank you. We have here a question about the training session. So Nana says the face-to-face training sessions seem like a great support. Yes, we believe they are. How do they work? Where do they take place? And is it in the middle of the residency? And what does the training include? I don't know here if Cristina or Fabio, do you want to?
Well, the training usually for the third round, we will define the dates and the place while the selection process is still ongoing. So the grantees will know when they know that they have been selected. They will also know that the 2 days of training will take place. Usually, it is in one of the academic institutions in our
Yeah, we just had a training in Lisbon in
so we have a training in Lisbon, and the previous one was in Barcelona. And the third one will most likely be in either of the two, and we don't know yet. And it usually focuses on there are several short sessions. It's a day and a half usually, which is also meant to create the opportunity for fellows to meet each other, to meet with us. And we discuss topics relevant for instance, the ethics of science journalism. We discuss about what is and isn't frontier science. We discuss about new technologies in science journalism. So we have the goal of these meetings is also to have a mutual learning experience and to discuss with the grantees.
Christine, I don't know if you want to add something, but I think
example,
mutual learning is really the wording here, right?
In the last meeting, for example, we also had some hands-on part of the training. So the fellows started using some artificial intelligence tool, for example, and discuss about that and their usefulness in journalism, in their daily works. So it's just a mutual exchange is the right word to describe these training days.
And
Thank you.
Practical aspect, the practical suggestion concerning the training is to budget for that in your application. So you have to keep part of the amount for travel and accommodation for 2 days in Europe in order to have accounted for the cost.
Yeah, we have here a topic, a question related to the breadth or narrowness of the focus of the research. So how narrowly focused on the host institution science does the project need to be? Stories often extend beyond just one research project or institution, or should the project be narrowly focused on a particular research effort, or can it be more general?
That's again a very good question. The requirement is that there is a focus on a identified group of research or researcher, individual researcher carrying out frontier science. Then, once you have secured that focus, of course, we all know that journalists are in a host institution are like kids in a candy store, so they will be most likely interested in a lot of other stuff. And the more you know in advance, the better it is, because the more you describe in advance your project, the better chances you have to make it clear for the evaluation, for the evaluators, the worth of your project. And then we always keep in mind that journalists are attracted by what is interesting and newsworthy, and they are there to meet new people, and sometimes they stumble upon interesting stuff, or they discover that stuff that looked some way from afar is not as understandable and clear as that they hoped it would be. So the issue is that we want the fellows to get in touch with frontier science as much as possible. But in addition to that, we hope that they will make the best of the experience, even adding other parts that are not strictly part of our requirements.
I think you've answered this, Fabio, but I'm just going to stress the question. Sorry, if there are multiple researchers I'm interested in working with at one institution, is that okay? I think you've answered it. And Yoram, I don't know if you want to add something.
Yeah, just to add, just to remind the overall context, this unique program, while it maintains this the freedom or independence of the journalists, it is under the overall message that we are trying to promote frontier research stories. That's the overall context. That's part of the eligibility criteria. It's definitely a very important factor in your application.
We are not promoting
but it's
stories.
not,
Fabio, sorry, the wording is important.
I didn't interrupt, so let me finish. What I was trying to say is that the essence of frontier research is an essential part of this program. It's definitely part of the application, and it's definitely part of the impact of what you're doing. Now, as mentioned before, definitely you have the independence, and it is clear that you may enter into the host or a specific story and start diverting into things which are different than your original application, which can be fine. I just want you to keep in mind the overall impact and message of the program. It is, after all, it's public money in use, and it has a very specific purpose, unlike very general programs. So just keep this in mind, and that's it.
May I just add just a few words?
I'm sorry, I was muted. Yeah, go ahead, Christina.
Thank you. No, just to reassure the potential fellows, let me say that the CSO, the Coordination and Support Office, will be there, even in case they have some doubts about the correctness of their stories and the following of research science and whatever. So we are there. If you have any doubt, please contact us. So it's just we can support you during your residency if you have any doubts. So we are there for help you.
And I
Thank you,
wanted
Christina. I
to,
think it's important to mention this support that Frontiers will also provide to the fellows during their residencies. Yes, Fabio, sorry.
oh, I just wanted to once again clarify the wording, which is fundamental. There is a huge difference between promoting the stories on frontier science, which is not the case, and promoting awareness and learning opportunities on what frontier science is and why it is worth. So the goal of this project is to, regardless of producing any output, which means regardless of the stories that come out of this, is learning more about frontier science and trying to learn how it is possible to better communicate if the journalist wants to communicate specifically, because the frontier science poses specific challenges, because it is sometimes very far from application. It is very far from, let's say, standard research. And so maybe a lot of skills that are good for standard science have limitations when it comes to frontier science.
Yeah, we
Sorry,
have another question.
Oh,
Sorry,
sorry,
yes,
Anna.
Christina,
No,
please,
just
yes,
another,
yes, please go.
talking about wording, I mean, another clarification. When we talk about science journalism, we are not talking of the term science as we usually think of. So it's not just life sciences or engineering, but it's also humanities, as Fabio said before. So when you calculate your career level, take it into account all this, and the possibility to apply to the project also take into account this kind of definition. It's not just life sciences or engineering, is all science, including humanities that can also be frontier science in some cases.
And social sciences, yes.
And social sciences, yes, of course.
There's another question here related to the training, and the question is very specific. If the training involves individual guidance on the publication of the work and finding the right platform to publish. I think that maybe while this is not exactly the focus of the training, I guess having the fellows all together and having been with other experienced science journalists in the training will help this. But Christina, maybe you can add here.
Yes, probably sharing experience with other fellows can help also. And we are there, so we can also discuss with each other and how to maybe find the better outlet where to publish or whatever. But it's a matter of discussion, and there's no rule. Also, in this case, there's no one-fit-all solution, of course.
Okay, there's a question a little bit more broad here. I think that goes a little bit beyond the Frontier project, but it's about how do you get into scientific journalism career. So Joanna is asking, I studied biochemistry and nutrition, and I want to start a scientific journalism career. First, I need to get a master or enter this in the field. And there is already Elise here who's helping us with the answer, saying that maybe it's different in Europe, but in the US, I just started. It's very normal to jump straight in. So I don't know. I don't know if you want to give some hints to Joanna.
Yeah, as a former researcher, I can say, and now scientific journalist, I can say that it is not, at least in Italy or in most of the countries, this is not mandatory to follow a master, but for sure, having some more studies on science journalism, scientific communication is an advantage, let me say. I'm talking as a former researcher, so I took advantage of a master class in also to create a network. Let me say, is important to have this to follow this kind of courses. So, but it is not mandatory, I think, in most of the countries.
Yeah. Okay. I think we helped Joanna. So we have here another a question which is probably more related with the fourth round, which is when will the fourth round will take place, and if it will be open to experienced science journalists.
Rita?
Yes, so the second part of the question is yes, it will be open to all career levels, and then we will announce the fourth round of the Frontiers residencies in the coming weeks or months, but it will be later this year or early 2026. So follow our social media and websites for more info.
Okay, and I see here in the chat that we are starting the networking immediately. So thank you so much, Elise, for being available to talk further with Joanna about a possible science journalism career. I hope you do it on time to still apply for the fourth round. So, and I think I don't think there are any questions on YouTube, right, Rita?
Yes, there are no.
And okay, and if there are no questions here, I think not. I think it's time for the wrap up. I just want to thank you all for your time and for your engagement today. Just a quick reminder, the application deadline for early career journalists is May 6th, so please ensure you submit your application on time. We do hope that this session has provided clarity on the process and that we really look forward to seeing your proposals. If you need any further information, please do reach out. Our contacts and all the details can be found on our website, frontiers.media. And please do not forget to follow us on LinkedIn and Instagram for updates. Thank you again for joining
Anna,
us.
sorry,
And
sorry,
yes,
just clarification. The deadline is May the 6th at 5 p.m. Summertime, Central Europe.
yeah,
So not
Central Europe
midnight, as
time.
someone might assume, but it's 5 p.m. Central European summertime.
Yeah. Thank you, Fabio. Yes, it's May the 6th at 5 p.m. Central European time. I was just saying thank you again for joining us and the best of luck for your applications. So looking forward to meeting you all one day. Bye-bye.
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 Bye, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.